I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right. Looks like we're here and broadcasting live on YouTube. We're getting a late start. I apologize for that, but it is Easter and I can always use that as an excuse. I could sort of had a little bit of a family get together today. It was pretty cool. Isn't that right? The astrological cat is waiting in the way. I got my old guy shirt on. You know, I just realized like this is a fucking shirt that like old dudes wear, usually because these shirts are big and they tend to like hide somebody's belly. What is that? Is that a cricket? What do you got there? Who is that? I tell you, it's fucking Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom out here. This could be another scorpion. We had a mouse. We had a snake in here the other day. Hold on, I got to check this bug out. Hold on. It doesn't look like your typical cricket. Hold on. Leave it alone. It's okay. It's okay. You don't need to catch everything. Okay, I'm coming back. I also use this moment in time to get a drink. You know, I was going to wear shorts tonight, but I thought to myself, you know, I'm probably have to get up at some point. And I was fucking psychic. Now, getting back to this shirt, this is like I don't know why I bought this. I was into these shirts for a while, but now I look like I should belong to some kind of a car club or something. You know, these are the shirts you see with the old dudes walking around like, I don't know, Orlando with or something like that. Tampa. This would be like a Tampa shirt. Hey, we're going to Tampa. Let me get my Cubano shirt, honey. It's okay, right? You know where I got this shirt? I can tell where I got this shirt. I got this shirt at Goodwill. It's actually a pretty nice shirt. And the colors, the only problem is when I bought it, I was kind of bigger than I am now. So I have a lot of these clothes that are like really big and they're okay, I guess, but it's like, man, I'm going to have to probably buy some new shirts. Well, because they look too big now. So what happens when you stop drinking beer? You can fit into things, or the things that you used to fit into, the things you bought, like an old man fucking shirt that you would wear in a place like Tampa because it looks cool and it hides your beer gut. you don't wear them anymore, or at least they don't fit. And they're not expensive enough to be tailored. Anyway, not your problem. It's mine. Hello, how are you? How was everybody? Welcome back. I think we snuck in through the back door on YouTube. I actually appealed my strike. I don't know if it got overturned, because usually what happens is that if you have a number of channels that are associated with your account, you can't do anything with any of them. And then on Friday, did a bang up 2-hour interview with Russ Winter, and was able to get on the old Friday Forecast channel. So that was pretty good. We managed to get it. So they must have like overturned my strike. You know, that's what I think. I think they overturned my strike. You know, I just said I didn't talk about COVID. That's all I said when I appealed it. I didn't give any long reason why. I didn't do any of that, right? Like a lot of times when you go in for these strikes, you think, okay, I got to be a lawyer. I got to be Robert Shapiro or something. Got to be Alan Dershowitz. Look at, so this guy right here, you know what he did today? He beamed out. He was gone for probably about, I don't know, an hour and a half or so. Nobody could find him. We had the lovely and talented Joan S. over here today, and my son, who seemed to be taking after me in some ways, although I'm not quite sure that's a good thing. Although I have to say, when it comes to mischief, I was a little more clever. Just saying. Anyway, he beams out for about an hour and a half. We're all looking around for him, calling his name. I'm like, he's around here somewhere. And after everybody left, he comes sauntering down. I mean, this is like an hour or so after everybody left. He comes sauntering down the stairs. Like he knew that we were looking for him. You ever have those animals that they know that you're looking for them? And they when they show up, they have like a tiny bit of guilt because they know that you were calling their name, and they're like, I don't really want to go out there right now. I'll let them call my name for a while. I like the attention. That's exactly what he did. Anyway, he beamed out. The cat situation here is, it's kind of interesting, right? So Rosie, just to give you an update, is doing tremendously well. I mean, the Rife machine is just doing wonders for her tumor. Her health. We're hoping that it's doing something for the tumor, but she's doing things that she hasn't done in quite a while. Like she's on the scratch tree, and she's scratching her nails, and she's grooming herself. She's grooming Jasper, and she does this weird thing. She gets up on the couch. We call it giving head, and she'll just take her head and she'll start like rubbing your head and kind of giving you sort of a bath. She started doing that again. I've never seen any other cat do that. It's the weirdest thing, but she's doing good. She's doing really well. And then we have these other two cats. Well, we have one cat who's an outdoor cat here, and he's a real sweetheart. He's an oddball, but he's a sweetheart. But then there's this other cat that I promise we're going to talk about astrology tonight. Then there's this other cat who actually lives on the other side of the tracks, on the good side. He lives on the good side of town, right? He's one of these bad seeds from the good side of town. And this cat is, there's a weird history with this cat. Okay, I'm not going to get into it, but there's a weird mistaken identity history with this cat. So, hold on one second. Let me do this. Okay. So there's this other cat. He lives on the good side of town, but he's a bad seed. This cat he's odd. He's big. He's a big cat. And you ever look at like old wanted posters or or photographs from like the 20s or something like that, and you're looking at, I don't know, reprobates. Sometimes they have like cross eyes. They look kind of weird, right? He kind of looks like one of them. He looks like he's like a reprobate from the early 1900s trapped inside of a cat's body. And sometimes he appears to be possessed, this cat. And his name is Pippin. And he hogs the other cat's food. He's kind of an asshole. Pippin is actually kind of an asshole. Okay. Not only that, but he looks like he's possessed. So we try to shoo him off, but he's like got this fuck you attitude. It's like, fuck you. This is my territory, and you're just staying here on my territory. That's how he is. He's like that. He's the oddest cat. So this and this is how odd he is. So he's in the yard the other day. I'm like, what is he doing? You know, it's probably maybe about a, I don't know, 20, 25 foot walk out to where he is in the yard. I'm going out there, and he's got his head down, and it's pretty clear he's eating something. I don't know what he's eating. It could be either a mouse, it could be a baby bird. I don't know what he's eating, but he's eating it, right? He's into it. Like the whole thing, you know, some cats will catch something and they'll bring it to you, and maybe part of it will be gone. No, he was into the whole thing. Whatever it was the whole thing. And I got right up to him, and he looked up at me, and he just kept chomping on his, you know, his prey. Like that cat didn't have a care in the fucking world. He was the Clarence Worley of semi-feral cats. That's a True Romance reference if you are keeping score at home. He didn't have a care in the world. I'm looking at this cat going, geez, you're pretty focused, aren't you? And I just walked away like, whatever, man. I hope it's a mouse and not a baby bird. It's a mouse. You've redeemed yourself somewhat. Baby bird, a pox on you in your barn dominium that you live in. It's not a barn dominium, but it's a very nice farm dominium. You call them farm dominiums. There's been this wave of developers in Texas where they buy big parcels of land, and then they slice them up, and then they run in water, and then they'll run in electrical, and sometimes they'll even do internet, and then they'll sell those like 10-acre lots, right? You get your little 10-acre lot or 5-acre lot. They do have some HOAs, and it's not just like you can go there, roll up, show up. Now, this has been a big thing, you know. You've got not only are you trying to buy land against other people buying land, but now you're trying to buy land against these conglomerates that are coming in and basically subdividing these little cross sections of farms. Anyway, that's the world we're living in today. How is everybody? I hope you're having a very good Easter Sunday. Always one of my favorite holidays, always one of my favorite times of year. I think Easter and Thanksgiving are my two favorites in terms of those kinds of holidays. I like Easter. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. I love Thanksgiving. It is Sagittarian time with Thanksgiving, and boy, does it feel like that. Gluttony, Sagittarius, Thanksgiving. You know what I noticed about Sagittarius? A lot of dictators. There's a fair number of dictators born under the sign of Sagittarius. I copped at least 4 if you include the current Pope, who I do think is a dictator. If I talk shit on YouTube about the Pope, will I get kicked off? That's an interesting concept. Can you talk shit about the Pope on YouTube? I don't know. I've never done that before. Should I try it? He's a fascist. I can tell you that right now. You know what he is? He's really a World Economic Forum New Age pimp fascist. That's who the Pope is. He's a Sagittarius. I'll tell you who else is Sagittarius. Joe Stalin. Sagittarius. Doesn't get more dictatorial than Joe Stalin in Sagittarius. And then Leonid Brezhnev, who followed Nikita Khrushchev, also a Sagittarius, born different year, but one day after Joe Stalin. Another Sagittarius. And then Maduro down in Venezuela, also a Sagittarius. Yeah. Sagittariuses make good tyrants. I think it has to do with the fact that they can be possessed of a self-righteousness. Sagittarius. And I've got Jupiter in Sagittarius. My first house is mostly Sagittarius. I got Pluto and Uranus in the 9th house. So, you know, I can talk a little inside baseball about Sagittarius. But they have a sense of righteousness, self-righteousness. And when it's extreme, the extreme version is rough. Right. It's a rough justice with the extreme version of Sagittarius. It's all twisted up into some kind of weird morality. There was somebody else who was the other one that was a Sagittarius. You know, I always fucking forget his name. Do you ever have those people? And this, I always want to say that somebody else's name instead of this person's name. And there's a reason why I want to say the other person's name. I'll tell you why. All right. Now I'm really good on names, but there's one name that eludes me a lot, and I don't know why. Maybe it's out of self-defense or self-preservation. Pablo Escobar. Whenever I go to the Pablo Escobar reference, I go, and then immediately I go, El Chapo. No, and then I have to go, no, it's not El Chapo. It's Pablo fucking Escobar. Although, and sometimes it'll do it. Now, Pablo Escobar is a Sagittarius. Now, was he as bad as the people running Colombia? That was an interesting story. Because I think he ran for office and won. He became like a senator. So, you know what he was like George Bush, who is not a Sagittarius. He's a Gemini. But he should have been a Sagittarius. We haven't had a Sagittarian president in a very long time. It's been a while. We haven't seen one. I can't even remember who the last Sagittarian president was. You probably have to go back. Let me see who they are, since we're on the topic. But Pablo Escobar was the people loved him. You know, they loved Pablo. And he was taking down the government. He was like Robin Hood. He was like Robin Hood. Okay, here we go. We got a table, U.S. presidents of the zodiac. There's not many. I don't think there's many Sagittarians. We have Martin Van Buren, who could be either a Sag or, hold on. Martin Van Buren, a Sag or a Capricorn. Well, he is a Sag, or he's got a Sag or Capricorn moon. Okay, Van Buren, does he get shot? Mercury and Scorpio. Anyway, Van Buren said Zachary Taylor, Sagittarius, Franklin Pierce, Sagittarius. So 3 rather, in many ways, forgettable presidents under the sign of Sagittarius. Yep. Any double Sages? Any Sag rising? Sag rising once, Sag rising going twice. Sag rising going 3 times. Oh, yeah. Ronald Reagan, Sagittarius rising. Oh, you know who's a fucking Sagittarius rising? That's right. Joe Biden. Can you believe? Yes, he is a Sag rising. You could tell he's a Sag. He was Joe Biden when he was. That's the other thing with Sagittarius rising sometimes. And again, if you're a Sag rising, I love you. I love you. I love all my Saggy risings. Great people. Just have faith in life and you'll be fine. But he was a plagiarist. He was a fucking, he just never thought he was going to get caught. And he's got a Virgo moon. That's torture. Obviously, the Virgo moon lost out to the Sag rising and the sun in the 12th house with Scorpio. Not many Sag presidents and rather forgettable ones. Let's see. We did this before. The one sign that shows up the most prominently tends to be Leo, either Leo sun or Leo rising, or some other significant Leo aspect. I did a whole show on it one night called the Leo Code. Herbert Hoover was a Leo, although he's a rather forgettable president, unless you think the Hoover Institute is a great American institution. Well, it's produced some interesting people. Let's see, who else do we have on the Leo side of things? Bill Clinton, William Clinton, Leo. Barack Obama, Leo. Lyndon B. Johnson was a Leo rising. There you go. Let's see, who else do we have? Any other Leo presidents? Let's see. Thomas Jefferson, no rising sign. Aries sun, Sag moon. He was a randy one, wasn't he? Was it his Aries sun and the Sag moon? He was randy. He has a lot of kids. A lot of. I met an ancestor of Thomas Jefferson's. Probably not that hard to do. They all get together. They all meet and have these big family reunions. And this guy he was in Seattle. His name was Al, and he was actually really cool. He was a cool guy. He had, as the French would say, je ne sais quoi. He was a cool guy. And yeah, he told me that he was a descendant of Thomas Jefferson. Let's see, anybody else? McKinley had a Leo moon. There's a lot of Trump, even though Trump's a Leo rising, of course. Yeah, Leo rising, which we know. I didn't know Johnson was a Leo. That explains everything with Johnson, doesn't it? God, he was a piece of work. Outside of the Leo ascendant, Virgo sun, Mercury in Virgo, and Virgo moon. Wow, it's a lot of Virgo. Ugh. And midheaven is in Taurus. Not one of my favorite presidents. Dwight Eisenhower, he was a Libra. He acted like a Libra, didn't he? Nothing too controversial. And the Korean War. Roswell. But Virgo rising, which put his Libra sun in the second house. And he had a moon. Where's his moon? Eisenhower's moon is in Libra, Scorpio, TBD, Mercury in Libra. A lot of Libra. What's his name? Harry S. Truman. That little shit. He was a Taurus. He had a Scorpio moon. Of course he did. The guy did anything for power. Libra rising. And you have Mercury in Gemini. Let's see. Taft was a Taurus. He was big. Taft was a big guy. Taurus rising. Roosevelt was a Virgo rising with Aquarius sun, Cancer moon, and Mercury in Aquarius. A lot of socialistic kinds of planets there. I think Kennedy had the true node in Leo. And then you have Nixon, Virgo. Nixon does look like a Virgo rising, right? We have two presidents with Lyndon Johnson, Leo rising, Virgo sun. We have Nixon with a Virgo rising. So we have a pretty strong patch of Virgo there. And Kennedy had a Virgo moon. So Virgo plays a role in, is it this like kind of need to serve? Maybe. But Nixon, you could just tell Nixon was a Virgo rising. And, Nixon was, he started the war on cancer, which I've talked about before. And then let's see. Nixon had an Aquarian moon. Yeah, he was kind of nutty, wasn't he? Nixon was kind of nutty. He had some nutty ideas. He hung out with some nutty. He had some strange acquaintances. James Brown used to hang out with Nixon a lot, and Nixon was like, "Can you like keep him away from the White House?" he wasn't that into, he was into him for a while for political reasons, but James Brown's like, he was into it, man. James Brown was a big time Republican. He was into the American dream. And of course, there was the whole Elvis thing with Nixon. And Elvis went to Nixon he wanted to become a DEA agent or some shit like that. I mean, that's the Aquarian moon with Nixon. Total Aquarian moon. Yeah, Reagan's got that Sag rising. You know, he's got that Sag rising, optimistic Sag rising. Meanwhile, stick a knife in your bag. He's got Mercury in Capricorn. Reagan was shrewd. He was very shrewd, although he was worthless after he got shot. I believe he was probably replaced. That once he was shot, Bush was running pretty much everything, with the exception of the occasional visits of Joan Quigley to the White House. Bill Clinton has a moon in Taurus and Libra rising. Of course he does. Another Libra rising. Jimmy Carter, double Libra sun, Libra rising. Moon in Scorpio. There's another guy into power in Mercury and Virgo. So we have Truman, Eisenhower probably moon in Scorpio. He was another guy during World War II, very political, very kind of fucked over Patton. I could see Scorpio moon kind of operating in that way, but he straightened it out. Gerald Ford was a Cancer, not elected. He was not elected president. He took over for Nixon for 2 years, and then he ran against Carter and he lost. And Gerald Ford was a Cancer, Taurus rising. He was a dim bulb, total dim bulb, also known as Leslie King. That's his real name. And Gerald Ford had a Sagittarian moon with Mercury and Leo. Not very bright. George H.W. Bush, Sag rising. There we go. See, dictatorial motherfucker. There it is. I'll show you. There he is. Sag rising right there. Bang. Sun in Gemini, moon in Libra. And let's see what else. Oh, Mercury in Taurus. Yeah, you can tell that's Sag rising. A couple of Sag risings, Aquarius, Gemini. You know, I mean, as a duo, that's super electable, right? Astrologically. I was at a press conference one time with George H.W. Bush when I was in junior college. I was there. I mean, I was there as part of the TV crew and everything. I was like 15 feet away from the guy. Let's see who else we have here. His son, Leo rising, of course. See, there's that Leo. The Leo's all over the place. Even if you go into these individual charts, which I've done before, you'll find very strong Leo aspects. A lot of times the Trudeau will be President Leo. And of course, with Obama, they say he's an Aquarius rising. I don't think so. Let's see. He's got Mercury and Leo. I think Obama is a Scorpio rising with Neptune on the ascendant. My rectified chart says that. And Joseph R. Biden, Sag rising, Sag. So the Sag rising is pretty good if you want to get elected. Millard Fillmore was a Sag rising. James Madison was a Sag rising. So Sag rising is pretty prominent. We went through an Aries phase in this country. Andrew Jackson, John Tyler. Lincoln's a kooky double Aquarian, of course. Grant, a double Taurus. Ooh. Mercury in Aries. Mercury in the 12th house. Yeah, gee. I wouldn't want to be on the bad side of Ulysses S. Grant. Let's see. Anybody else here? It's mildly interesting. Chester A. Arthur, the great Chester A. Arthur, a double Libra. Grover Cleveland, a lot of water, Grover. Look at that Pisces sun, Cancer rising, Mercury in Pisces. And he has that Leo moon. Interesting. McKinley, Libra rising, Aquarius sun. Look at all that Aquarius moon, Aquarius Mercury. Wow, McKinley, interesting. And then there's Teddy Roosevelt. He does seem like a Gemini rising, doesn't he? All sort of, bully this and bully that, and let's go charge up San Juan Hill. Very Gemini kind of rising guy. A lot of Scorpio, though. Another very, where is he? Yeah, a lot of planning going on with that Scorpio. All right. There was another, I'm going to get to you chat here in just a second. There was another tab here that was leaders of the world, Sagittarius. Where is it? Famous Sagittarius leaders. Churchill, there you go. De Gaulle. So we got two major World War II personas. Sagittarius. Mary Queen of Scots. Jacques Chirac. Zachary Taylor. There's Van Buren. Oh, Michael Flynn is a Sagittarius. You better not be president. Here, I'll do a little screen share. Let's go through the rogues gallery of Sagittarian world leaders. He's not very bright. He's not bright. I thought he was a Capricorn. I guess I was wrong. Madeleine Albright. Talk about dictatorial. She was hell on wheels, man. Also shows up in Kathy O'Brien. There's Franklin Pierce. Kind of an interesting haircut. Tom Hayden. Radical. He's a radical. California radical. He was part of the State Assembly, California. Kristi Noem. Well, look at her. I bet she could be a little bit of a tyrant. I liked her chart, though. I thought she was a pretty good chart. She has some weakness in her chart, though, with Neptune. Shirley Chisholm. She was she unsuccessfully ran for Democratic Party's president. Wasn't she like a vice presidential candidate or something like that? I always couldn't quite figure. They kind of wanted to put her in there somewhere. Like, we're trying to find a place for you. Maybe vice president or something. Didn't really fit. Right? Didn't quite fit, but they tried really hard to kind of push her to the front of the bus. Didn't really work, though. Seemed like a nice lady. Hello. Oh, yeah. Archduke Francois. I knew he was a Sag. Totally knew he was a Sag. December 18th, 1863. Oh, look at this. Pinochet. There's another fucking tyrant. Man, Sagittarius they've got the least on tyrannical world leaders. So if you're a Sagittarius out there, go find yourself a small country. Gary Hart. Gary Hart. He got hijacked. Wasn't that the name of the boat he was on? Hijinks. Wasn't that the name of the boat? Gary Hart was this close to becoming president. He was very close. And a lot of these politicians, they just can't keep their pecker in their pants. And he wound up on this yacht and got to a little hot water with a young lady. Of course, he's married. Here we go. Andres Bonifacio, a Filipino revolutionary. He's the father of the Philippine Revolution. Of course he is. He's a Sagittarius. He was never officially president. He's considered the first president of the Philippines. Eventually, he was executed for treason. He looks like Michael Aquino, doesn't he? The Satanist from the Temple of Set, who may or may not be dead. He looks like Michael Aquino. I think Michael Aquino is Filipino, too. By the way, I did look over Filipino food again. And it looks like it might be worth another try, maybe with a better restaurant than the one I went to. Rick Scott. Oh, boy. He's goofy. He's a goofy ass looking motherfucker, isn't he? Look at him. That's a weird picture. If I was Rick Scott, But I don't know how you change that. I just don't know. Rick Scott should do a Van Dyke. Like if you got a bald head, you got to do the Van Dyke. What about this guy? Thomas Sankara. Africa's Che Guevara. What did I tell you? But he made a great fucking dictator. Was a Burkinabe military leader and revolutionary who became the president of the Republic of Upper Volta after a coup in 1983 and changed its name to Burkina Faso. He launched educational, ecological, and economic reforms and declared female genital mutilation and forced marriages illegal. Okay, there we go. He's a good dictator. He's a good tyrant. Right on, Thomas. Custer, Custer and when's his birthday? December 5th. Custer and Mike Flynn are kind of alike. Now, Custer's got that same haircut as Franklin Pierce had, but a little bit longer. Like they both, Mike Flynn and Custer finished kind of towards the bottom of their class at West Point. Jimmy Doolittle, well, he was a hero. John Jay, first Chief Justice of the United States. That's a good role for a Sagittarius, Chief Justice. Hu Jintao, former General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. Hu Jintao, I like saying that. Hu Jintao. Will that get me kicked off YouTube? Hu Jintao is believed to have given shape to the belligerent China that Xi Jinping unleashed on the world. Ooh, he is kind of a dictator. That's a cold-looking motherfucker right there. Look at him. Known for his reserved and modest leadership styles, tenure marked consensus-based rule and collective leadership. Konstantin Rokossovsky. He was one of the most important Red Army commanders during the Second World War. Rokossovsky also served as Poland's defense minister. Same birthday as Mike Flynn. A lot of military guys here. Ed Koch. Remember Ed Koch, the mayor? Benjamin Disraeli, a British politician who served 2 terms as Prime Minister of the UK. Disraeli is credited with playing a key role in the formation of the modern Conservative Party. Apart from being an influential politician, Benjamin Disraeli was also a prolific novelist. He wrote and published works of fiction even while serving as the Prime Minister. Oh, this guy, he was like the head of the EU, right? Paul Juncker. Yeah, he served as a Minister for Finances in Luxembourg. He became the 23rd Prime Minister of Luxembourg and served in his position until 2013. President of the European Commission, right there. So another tyrant, Jean-Claude Juncker. Bob Hawke. This guy had a scandal. I think he got busted having an affair. Now that's a good Sagittarius right there. Sonny Perdue. Let's see. One of Stalin's toadies. Grigory Malenkov, chairman of the Council of Ministers of the Soviet Union, 53 to 55. He was inseparable. He and Stalin were tight. G. Gordon Liddy. He would have made a good dictator somewhere. Now Liddy was one of the 3 tramps at the Kennedy assassination. He was one of the 3 tramps. I think who was the other one? Charles Harrelson, Woody Harrelson's father. I forget who the third one was, but Gordon Liddy was one of those 3 tramps. Here we go. We got an anarchist, socialist, and historian, Peter Kropotkin, passionate advocate of anarcho-communism. He was also an activist, revolutionary economist. Let's see. He returned to Russia after the Russian Revolution in 1917. Mark Warner, Willy Brandt. Now, I knew Willy Brandt was a Sagittarian because I'd seen his name on the list. He wasn't that much of a dictator, but he was pretty. When I was a kid, you watch TV, right? Willy Brandt was a guy that was almost always on TV when it came to the foreign news. Gerd von Rundstedt. He was a Nazi field marshal during World War II. His army was part of the German campaigns of France and Russia. He was defeated in the Battle of Normandy. Following the war, he's charged with war crimes, was not tried due to old age. That's Sagittarian dumb luck right there. He was too old. He got off. Let's see. We got Tip O'Neill, the old tipper. He's got Sagittarian gin blossom nose. Al Haig, remember I said one time, Al Haig said, I'm in charge now. Remember he said that? Like when Reagan got shot, Al Haig said, I'm in charge. That's a dictator move, right? He's a Sag. He went right in. I'm in charge. No, you're not in charge, Al. The Gemini, who's the Sag rising, is in charge, unfortunately. I used to deliver mail to his son. Adam Clayton Powell. He's a civil rights activist. Looking a little boulay there. Wilbur Ross. Oh, that's Trump's boy right there. He looks like Wally from My Dinner with Andre, doesn't he? I wonder if Wallace Shawn is playing Wilbur Ross. Anyway, investor. Well, he was Secretary of Commerce. He got there from a payback. He bailed Trump's ass out. Oh, Franco. Hey, we're on a roll here. Francisco Franco. Right? This guy, and he ruled Spain for a long fucking time. Right? Like Stalin drops off, he's off the scene. Khrushchev, he's off the scene. Franco sticks around for a long time. He's born in 1892 and he died in 70. I mean, he was like, here he goes. Essentially, Franco ruled over Spain as a dictator from 1939 to 9. Do you know why he's a dictator? Because the communists were crazy about Spain and the Spaniards had a big communist wing. So if you're gonna deal with the communists, you in some ways have to be a fascist. And those two are kind of inextricably linked. And that's why the communists are always against the fascists. And in World War II, the war to end all wars, the communists were like, it's a fascist fault. They're the ones that fucking started it. So we can't ever have another war. So what do we have to do? We have to defeat fascism, which means we'll have to go to war if we need to. Otto the First, he was the Holy Roman Emperor. I don't know a lot about Otto the First, but he put an end to the attacks by the Magyars. His strategy of making the German bishops feudal lords helped his cause by stabilizing his empire. So that's called simony, by the way, when you give titles to the bloodline families. Michael Bennett, what is that guy? He looks like he's coming off the cast of a chorus line or something, doesn't he? Oh, Kirsten Gillibrand. It's so weird with her. She'd make a great dictator, by the way. Her father, I used to follow the Nexium shit, and that was just one of those things. It was deep. It was connected, right? It was dirty. Nexium was really dirty. They were laundering money. They were doing all kinds of weird shit. And nobody went to jail except for the guy, the freak that was supposedly, the avatar of Nexium. Her father was a lawyer and represented Nexium. I think he's still a lawyer. That just came out. Like a week ago. We were talking about her father being, I think he might have even been on the board. I know he was a lawyer for Nexium. Roger Stone was connected to Nexium, although you have to dig for that. Who is she? Anna Subri. Looks like David Icke. Looks like David Icke in drag, doesn't it? God, it kind of does. I was being a little facetious. It looks like David Icke in drag. Kurt Waldheim. That was another guy growing up. It was here's his fucking name on TV. Another Sagittarius, he ran Secretary General. Isn't that interesting? Secretary General is a term that they use inside the Communist Party. That's a you don't say Secretary General in the United States. You just don't say so. There is no Secretary General. Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Fun and Hijinks, but no Secretary General. They have it here in the UN. What does that tell you? Yeah, this guy he had some kind of Nazi background, little fascist background. He looks like a fascist. This man looks cruel, I have to say. Roger Williams, he was. I tell you, man, this guy could pass, right? Doesn't he look like he could pass? He could pass. Rajendra Prasad, he was a freedom fighter. He drafted India's constitution. There's a Sagittarian thing to do. Good deal. John Nance Garner, Texas-based Democrat politician, Speaker of the House. We want some real dictators, though. Some of these people are actually probably fairly competent. John Jellicoe, the first Earl Jellicoe, Royal Navy. Here's George Mason, Robert Menzies. Look at that, Prime Minister of Australia. Was he a fascist? Like there's Grand Duke Michael Adranovich of Russia, Joe Weider. When I think of political leaders, I think of Joe Weider. Janet Napolitano. Oh yeah, she's got a bit of a leathery side, doesn't she? She got into education. I think she got a big run at University of Miami, being their chancellor or something. We got a Nazi general there. Come on, where's the good ones? Look at this guy. I love this hat. This is a must-have hat. You got to have a hat like that with the skull and crossbones on it. His attitude towards the Nazi regime is ambiguous. It's good. How can you have an ambiguous? I guess you could. Sebastian Pinera, you got a Chilean. Oh, George Shultz. There's another dictator right there, behind the scenes. December 13th. Cavendish. Come on. We got to see. There's Rob Porter. We got to see what's his name. Asa Hutchinson. Where's Stalin? Come on, we got to see Stalin. Herman Cain, God rest his. Manny Pacquiao. Look at that. Sagittarius. I like the Pac-Man. That's a goofy ass picture. I would never tell him that though. But that is a goofy ass looking picture. Gotta say. What is this guy? Oh, he's fucking dictatorial looking. That is some dictator shit right there. November 24th, early first decan Sag. He was the third most influential man in China. This guy's a custom officer. Atiku Abubakar. Hele Thorning Schmidt. Come on. There's Chuck Schumer. Hey, talk about dictator. Fuck. Sagittarius. Can't stand this guy. Am I making a case here or what? George Moscone. We went down that rabbit hole. I knew he was a Sag. John Lindsay. He was mayor of New York when they bankrupted it. Come on. This guy current, this Vilsack. There he is. Joe Stalin, Uncle Joe, greatest dictator of all time, almost. I think Kamala Harris could potentially surpass him. Tom Dash, I remember this guy. He was fairly popular for a while. Anybody else? Lord Mountbatten. Chaim Weitzman. Ooh, former president of Israel. He looks like fucking Lenin, doesn't he? I think this guy could make a pretty good dictator. He's got that dictator chin. Like he could open packages with that chin. Born in Russia, biochemist Chaim Weitzman. Isn't that the name of Gene Simmons? That's close. I don't think it's the same name. Is it Chaim Witz or something like that? Was a World Zionist Organization leader. Of course. He qualifies. He's right up there. And later also became the first president. Now that's a religion thing, right? So he's Jewish. He's Zionist. He had a major role in the Balfour Declaration. He was a big researcher, apparently, into fermentation, gasoline, and rubber. Those are all Those are all military items. And he helped establish the Weizmann Institute. This guy he kind of looks like an okay guy. I know nothing about him. He's a Sagittarian, right? He was in the Netherlands at the International Criminal Court. He was president there. Reminds me of Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live. I mean, I'm making a pretty good case. This guy, he went to jail. Now he's out there speaking truth bombs, although nobody will listen to him. LaGuardia, that guy was a fucking dictator. Fiorello LaGuardia, the airport. This is the airport guy. I'm telling you, man. Oh, Dilma Rousseff, another one. She looks frumpy, man. She's like the housewife dictator. You know what I mean? She conquered her household, completely conquered her household, and then conquered her block. And then they're like, okay, we got to do something with this woman. She's just tearing up chunks of Rio de Janeiro. Let's make her president. I don't think she's president anymore, though. Joseph Dunford. Do we have Khrushchev? You got any Khrushchev? No, or not Khrushchev. Oh, Susan Collins. Oh, not good. It's dictator. Traitor. Sorry. She's a script flipper. Yulia Tymoshenko. All right, I think we're just about good for this. That goes on and on and on. We got a couple of Purdues. We got two. Ed Meese, part of the Reagan administration. Oh, John Allen. This is the guy that replaced Petraeus. David Petraeus. Anyway, thanks for playing around with that. A little kind of cross section and some humor. Let's check in with you guys. We got a lot to cover tonight. I should stop fucking around and see where we are. Who do we have here? Okay, we've got Courtney Hutchinson. What's going on, Courtney? Susie Gemini, Sonia K. There's the lovely and talented Jonas. Thomas Jordan. What's going on? I think his owner has named him Pippin. I call him usually call him double dipping Pippin, but I think we can call him triple dipping Pippin. Pluto Wilson, what's going on, Pluto? How are you? Wendy Eaters here. Steve Letro, outage. That's when the work begins. Make sure the boys double the transformers. I did 35 years of substations, electric system chemist, and transformer SME. Steve, you're welcome to come stay at my community. You are welcome to have a place at my community. We need people like you. Michelle on Wheels. What's going on, Michelle? Magical Catacorn. Hello, Luba. Laura Garen's here. JJ Rain DeBlanc. Hello, JJ. Who else do we have? Christine. What's going on, Christine? Chatlandia needs a few of those. Sans the HOA. I agree with you. Kabuki Theater. What's going on? The barndominium is a cool idea. I want a barndominium. Let's see. Leaf, what's going on, Leaf? Happy Easter back at you. Laura, hi, Laura. Yeah, the Pope is franchistic. I like that. Like franchising and fascistic. I like that. Brother Zygos. Ted Bundy was a Sagittarius. That's right. That's true. He had that sunny Sag disposition. What's going on, Lee Kress? I do have the magic bottle. It's right here with me. Leela 1127. Hello from Texas to you in Ontario. Welcome. Arlene Vega's here. Hi, Arlene. Good to see you. Carolina in the Pines. My fabulous wise ass nephew is a Sag. Never a dull moment with a Sag. You ever party with a Sag? The Sagittarian people are the best people to party with until they're not. Right? The other thing with Sag, it's a mutable sign, so they can get really fucked up, but then they just fall off a cliff. Their energy just goes. I've seen them time and again. They get fired up, they get pumped up, they get wasted, and then they puke and they start drinking again. But it does have Sag rising. That's right. Hi, Mike Fuller. Welcome to the show. There's my man Steve Castro. Yes, definitely Leo. Che Guevara was a Gemini, if I'm not mistaken. Susan, you guys know, look at this. I'm going back into the show, and you guys are plucking out world leaders by their signs. I'm impressed. Look at Lisa dropping back-to-back Winston Churchill and Mary Queen of Scots. Michelle on wheel. Sag rising is a good rising. I did a whole thing with rising signs one night, and I went through what I felt was the best to worst rising signs. And Sag rising was pretty high up there, I have to say. Let's see. Who else do we have? GDH. Both my parents were Sag. My mom, birthday, Thanksgiving, dad. They both could burn 4 sets of new tires within a year. Wow. It's a lot of travel. Hillary is a Sag rising as well. That's right, TFT. Yep. Oh, look who's here. Sticky Marks. She's still on the planet, causing trouble. What's going on, Sticky? Heidi Kit. That was weird timing. My Sag French is called. There are no mistakes. Oh, look who's here. Mr. Charles Mazak. What's going on, Charles? Good to see you. Chris Quinn checking in. Boy, we got a packed house tonight. There's Shirlo Schiavo. Something coming this week. S.I. Sully smash. Look at that. Right on. Good for you, Sully. Thank you. Thumbs up. Let's see. Chris Quinn. Hello, Quinn. Zulia Shengo. CC Jones. Fran, I'm behind, but you're here checking in. Good to see you. April Himmel. Hello, April. Let's see. Who else do we have? Did I leave anybody out? Linda. There's my girl, Linda. From the Bay. What's going on, Linda? Good to see you here. Ryan, you know what? Ryan's here. Let me show you something. I was going to do this tomorrow, but this is a pretty well-watched show. I've been wanting to do this for a couple of days now. Do you see this lovely wooden box I have here? Do you see this box? Look at the detail on this box. You see that box right there? Look at this. This is a fine crafted box. Look at this. This is not your ordinary box. Look at this. Two-tone wood, nice and smooth. The drawer fits. Look at the drawer. This is a jewelry box, right? Check this out. You got the little red velvet in there. Look at that. This is a cool box. Anyway, Ryan, the introspective woodworker, made this box. This is some fine American craftsmanship right here. Fine American craftsmanship. And I'm hoping at some point Ryan will have a website so you can have a nice jewelry box or cutting board that Ryan can make for you. All right. Who else do we have here? Ryan, been wanting to give you a little bit of props for a while now. Elvis had the 22 and 18 degrees, 2 planets. I think he died early because of that. Just Elvis is a weird story. He's a weird fucking story. Jill Biden is Alice Cooper with blonde hair. You know, I wouldn't have a hard time believing that. Let's see. Who else do we have? Michelle Obama is a large. Michelle Obama, I think we can all kind of agree that Michelle is a sausage vendor, right? She's a sausage vendor. I think Joan Rivers lost her life over it. All right, who else do we have here? Anybody? I miss Nick Plur. We miss Nick Plur too. Pelosi, Sag rising. So looks like the lights are going out on the Sag risings in DC, huh? Quizets Hatterach. Boat was named Monkey Business. That's what it was called. Monkey Business. Thank you. Not Risky Business. Hijinks, Monkey Business. That's right. Thank you. Quizets Hatterach. Appreciate that. Gary Hart, Monkey Business. Yeah, I know, right? If you're Gary Hart, that's a Sagittarian thing. You don't have a fucking care in the world. You're just going on that monkey business. Donna Rice. Isn't that who that was? She was a good-looking woman. There was a whole spate of those women back then. Jessica Hahn was another one. Fannie Fox. There were all these women that were getting these dudes into trouble. Let's see. Rick Scott does look like a lizard, doesn't he? Nixon was a piece of shit. I partied the day he died. Ginny, I got news for you. None of them are all that good. None of them are all that good. Sorry. I can't I can't think of one president. Carter probably had a spirit and a soul until they turned him into a robotoid. But he was a pawn for the Trilateral Commission. Walt Disney, son Sag. He's a dictator. He's a fucking dictator of Disneyland. Am I right? He's a dictator of Disneyland. Is that haircut the dirty bender? Let's see what else do we have. General Tso's chicken is delicious. All right, let's see. Tondar is here. Okay, this guy, we got a really good crew. GSS 1123, who I haven't seen for a while. True Astrology. I did mention the Pope. He was one of the first fascists I mentioned, actually. Let's see who else do we have here. I think we're up to it. Heather Kentucky 22. What's going on, Heather? The thing with Sag, here's what happens with Sag, is that I think that they can turn morality, they have this weird spin on morality, and they can justify, because they're a mutable sign, they can justify the spin on morality. And I don't know what kind of justification that Stalin was using when he basically, because Lenin was like, look, we got to reform this country, yo. We got to reform the system. These people got to get paid. And he wrote a whole paper on it, right? Like Lenin stroked out, about to die. He's written this paper, which is basically the reform for Bolshevism. And who's the Secretary General? It's Stalin. Oh, let me see that, comrade. Oh, very good. Very good. Brilliant, brilliant. People will love this. Gets outside the door. Right? Because Stalin's like, no, dude, we're not going down that path. I have seen the future of Russia. And as long as I can be the guy and get everybody to bend to my will, we'll be just fine. And we looked at Stalin's chart. It's got a pretty kind of amazing chart, actually. I mean, you look at some of these people with charts. We're looking at Elon Musk tonight. Try to catch up with what's going on with Elon. And Stalin has a pretty impressive chart. He's got a Mars-Pluto opposition, Mars and Scorpio, so he's a fucking killer. Other than that, interesting chart. You know, if you think about it too, I mean, this is a case for astrology. Stalin had maybe he dropped out of high school. He was very smart in school. And he went to, and he was in Georgia, which is where he's from. And he became a gangster. He became a rabble rouser, a gangster. He read Marx. Everybody was reading Marx. Right? Marx was like the Tony Robbins of the day, I think, although with some kind of economic theory. Although Marx was a piece of shit. But he read Marx. Everybody read Marx. I think he might have read, a couple of other nascent communist writers, right? So, but he was a thug. He was a gangster. He was a total gangster. And he was a rabble rouser, which I talked about. And he caused a lot of shit, right? That's what Stalin did. He was a shit disturber, and they liked him. And Stalin didn't have any compunction. He had no conscience when it came to killing people. None whatsoever. It's like part of the deal, right? And he was targeted to become a priest. And he actually studied religion when he was in high school, and he just said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in this shit. I got my own deal going on. But so theoretically, that guy should not have done anything with his life based on his upbringing, deeply abusive, alcoholic father, shipped off a number of times to Siberia, right? I think he did 2 stretches in Siberia, if I'm not mistaken. And he always came back. Whenever he came back, he was like that. Sagittarians land on their feet. They always manage to land on their feet. They can totally fuck up and they'll land on their feet. I've seen it many times. And then you know what they'll do? They're sort of endearing when they fuck up. Like they don't try to cover it up. And they have an interesting way of being moral about their fuck up. Like they'll own their fuck up. And then Stalin just rises through the ranks. He just rises through the ranks. And what's interesting, none of these guys have any military fucking training. Like Lenin has no training. Trotsky has no training, but Trotsky's running the Red Army. And these guys they are involved in World War II, right? Well, yeah. I mean, not Lenin. Lenin is involved in World War I. But Stalin he's the commander in chief for World War II. And he becomes this feared world power and leads the Soviet Union with the help of the United States through this massive modernization. And the only thing I can come up with is that it's the chart, because he's got actually a very interesting chart. And I think you can make a case for astrology with Stalin, even though he was one of the most evil people on the planet. I saw a documentary on Ho Chi Minh. That guy's fucked up. He's a Taurus, though. Okay, let's get into some charts here. Let's take a look at the chart of the moment. Let's see what we got. Got a bunch of charts here tonight. Let's go home. We'll look at some eclipse stuff. We got some crazy eclipse shit. What is this? Why is it there? It's ahead of time. I always do this. I thought I had it for Austin. Let's just do it for Austin. I think it's usually around this time the ascendant is in Scorpio. See the late Libra, Scorpio. I think we're probably in Scorpio. Okay. Let's go back to that chart of the moment. Oh, didn't I do it? I think I might have done it at a class. Anyway, I already did it. Doesn't matter. Let's do this. Come on. Here we go. Yep, Scorpio rising. We had a snake in here the other day. So, what you call it? Water moccasin? A little tiny one. Going around the house. Rosie wanted to pounce. I'm telling you, man, this place, Wild Kingdom. Here we go. So we got a Scorpio moon. Yep. Just coming off that Libra full moon, that magical, charming, wonderful Libra full moon on Friday. My good buddy David did a full moon jam on the Libra full moon. So we're getting very close to Eclipseville, which we're going to talk about. I believe the first eclipse coming up here is not that far away, right? April 30th. So we're in the eclipse window now. The eclipse window, 3.5 weeks before the eclipse, 3.5 weeks after the eclipse. Put it together, you got 7 weeks of eclipse energy. Getting more intense the week and a half before and a week and a half after. So we're going to try to speculate a little bit on some of the solar eclipse. So what I did is I went back and I looked at the last eclipse cycle in Taurus Scorpio, which happens in 2003. So we're going to look at some of those events. There's some very interesting events. There's two in particular that are these handcuff events. They're very odd, but I think we can kind of glean something out of this one or two very unusual events happening just days apart, by the way. So we'll get into that when we dive into the Scorpio full moon. I'm sorry, Taurus sun and the Scorpio full moon. All right, let me get back in here so you can see the chart. Sometimes I talk too much and I don't do the chart. And I'm like, oh, that's not a good look. Okay. So there we are, 28 degrees Aries. We're 2 days out now from Taurus season. I like Taurus season. You know, things theoretically should be more of the body. We should be more of the body during this this Taurus season coming up. Mercury's there. Venus is still kind of lagging behind because of the retrograde that it went through, but it's picking up some speed. It's past Mars now. Remember how Venus and Mars were twinsies there, side by side? Yeah, they were there in Capricorn, and then they were there in Aquarius. So Venus is joining the Neptune-Jupiter party. And that's interesting. I mean, if we have a chance here to have some kind of more compassionate and empathic potential for relating with one another, you know, the Venus march towards Neptune and Jupiter over the next week should be interesting. Tomorrow, Venus will be in trine with the moon in Scorpio, and so will Neptune and so will Jupiter. So the emotional energies at the start of the week are powerful, right? What's interesting is that with Pisces here, and I do like the fact that, you know, Venus is in Pisces and Jupiter's in Pisces and Neptune, they're all together. So those are all really good planets to have a stellium in Pisces, right? Like those are really good Pisces stellium planets. You throw Mars into the mix. Mars is in Pisces, but it's not part of this stellium conjunction, even though Venus is still kind of out wide a little bit, but it'll catch up to Neptune, right? These are I think these are the three best Piscean planets that you could have in a stellium. So what's going to drive the energy? Is it going to be the intense and fixed Scorpio moon just coming off of the full moon? Is that what's going to drive the energy? Or is it going to be Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter taming the intense, obsessive, and compulsive, sometimes dark, but always delicious Scorpio moon? I think it's the latter, because I feel, okay, this is just me talking about humanity right now. We've really lost touch with how to relate to one another. We've really lost touch with how to relate with one another. And there's a problem with opening one's heart and one's spirit to another person if that person isn't worthy, right? The whole pearls before swine thing, because right now we live during a time where if you open up to the wrong person, and unless you're willing to, you know, play the role of an avatar, you know, play the role of Jesus, it can be hard. It can be difficult, because most people will take advantage, especially during a time like now, where we've been in this dehumanization process. It really, you know, it started with the you know what, right? It started with the you know what, and then the face cloth. It really, so that, well, the dehumanization process started before that. Trust me. It already had a lot of momentum before then. But when that happened, right, it was easy to pick a side. It was if you hadn't picked a side already, and of course that was true note in Gemini territory, you were picking a side or the side was picking you. And what's happened since then is we've been continually de-evolving through that pattern, right? And we have been really fragmented. So you have to be careful. You can't, you know, unless you're going to go all the way, unless you're going to go, you know, all the, you know, Jesus Christ, Sananda, Yeshua Emmanuel, all the way, so that your openness and your deep well of compassion and empathy and allowing your being to become a thin membrane for the love of God to transmit through you. Right? If you do that, you can open yourself up to anybody. And through your lack of guile and pure innocence and evolved nature, there's not too many people that can dominate a person like that. Trust me, that is the highest form of being anybody could aspire towards. So that the empathy and the compassion is so pure, right, that it actually detoxes people in the environment. That's the power right there. If you can get to that place, nobody can stop you. Nobody. Right. But that's a hard place to be because it is completely transparent. It is completely transpersonal. And it is almost, for lack of a better term, not particularly human, although it operates at the higher octaves of humanity when you're at that place, right? So you can go there, but if you're going to go there, that is a journey, right? And that has to be ultimately your raison d'etre, that you have to have that as your focus. And by the way, you'll get the shit tested out of you too, right? You will get the shit tested out of you because you'll have to like figure out, okay, well, I'm gonna let go of that. I'm gonna let go of that. I'm gonna let go of that. So there is some of this energy here. There is some of this with the Venus, Neptune, Jupiter conjunction. Now, can we approach relating with one another better? Can we? Can it become something that is more paramount? Can the Spirit of God within me and the Spirit of God within you greet each other? That's the namaste, right? That is the namaste moment. If we're going to get through this, unless we throw down and, whoever is not vibrationally like meant to be here somehow gets sorted out, which is a possibility. The other way that we're going to get through this time is that we have to resynchronize how we relate with one another. The challenge is that so many people have been weaponized against that kind of relating right now that's unless you're really, really good and really committed, like that can almost be dangerous. It can almost be dangerous. So then what do we have to do? We have to understand kind of what level we can interact with other people. And some people don't get our good shit. That's just the way it is. Some people don't get our good shit. You don't give up your good shit to people because they call it pearls of poor swine. So who do you give up your pearls to, or your golden, the people that have proven to you that they are trustworthy, faithful, and respect you, right? That's how it works. Those are the people that you can be transparent with. You can have a, deep and fair and reciprocal relationship with that person. It's the way it's the way it should be theoretically, right? Yeah. But you can't do that for everybody. Not everybody's wired for that, and especially now, which is a shame. You could try it for a week. You could just, if you wanted to, for a week, you could just be as much of a open book in some ways, right? Transparent. I remember one time I did Ibogaine. This is a long time ago. And Ibogaine was a game changer. Totally reset me, completely reset me. And I remember the day after I did it, I was like a fucking little kid. I was so trusting. I was in my 30s. I was so trusting. Everything was just beautiful, right? It was beautiful. And I remember I've told this story before. I remember going to this place where I had a mailbox. And the guys that worked, I really liked these guys. I think they were Pakistani. Boy, were they smart. They were cool dudes. And they did copies. It was a copy place and, all that shit. Anyway, there was this woman there who was at the copy place. She wasn't working there. She was a customer. And I remember she was black. It was Oakland. She was black. And she was fucking angry. Right. So here I am. I've got no boundaries. right? I just have no boundaries. And I'm like, I'm just wide open, right? And this woman was pissed. She was just angry. She had an edge. And it was like, ooh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I got to pull back a little bit here because this person is not really safe to be around. Right. It was, and it was so weird, right? Because I know if I was just in my regular sort of everyday consciousness, I would have just done my thing, would have looked at her, maybe said something, maybe not said something, who knows, right? And out, boom. And I think about, man, that woman had an edge. But not this day. No, this day, the doors of perception had been cleansed and I was pretty wide open. It was an interesting time. So, there's a there, right? But for me, it was like trying to find that place and staying there and still deal with my everyday life. That was not easy. The reentry was not easy. If you ever happen to do Ibogaine, please take about 2 or 3 months out of your life and then come back, or else you can have some issues. But I love this energy with Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter because we have to be, kindness is a commodity. It is a valuable commodity. And, we just have to be kinder to one another. That you just want to throw your kindness around like a drunken sailor. I don't know the answer to that right now. I would lean into more no than yes. But I feel like that this week should be a week where it's a theme to explore. It is a theme to explore because when you look at the moon and where the hard angles with the moon are, the hard angles over Saturn. So moon, Saturn square tomorrow. Ooh, that energy, right? That's hard energy. That's judgmental energy. That's Monday morning. Man, I really had a nice weekend. I don't want to be this fucking job energy. That's hard energy. And you're dealing with fixed energy, not just hard, fixed Aquarius. It's like, yeah. You have two paths here. You have two paths this week. You can either go the hard path with the moon Saturn square and, fight for your emotional autonomy and integrity, or you can lean into some of this Piscean energy, which if you suffer some kind of emotional grievance this week over the next 48 hours, this is redemptive. There's the possibility for redemption this week. And some of the boundaries come down, right? Some of the boundaries with relating, some of the boundaries with the potential. There's potential here. This is especially Monday and Tuesday, right? There's this potential to go beneath the surface of how you relate with another person. My mind just went into a very different place there. You have the potential this week, Monday and Tuesday, to have encounters on an emotional level that can be profound and where two people can learn a lot about one another, right? This is really powerful energy that we're talking about here. And that's the potential, right? Now, these two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive because we have the moon Neptune square. So that could be happening simultaneously, right? You could be like, hitting hard against these emotions, right? And you're dealing with bureaucracies. You were dealing with a technocracy, honestly, with Saturn in Aquarius. So I would assume that this week that we'd start to get a lot more vid-19 stuff, right? That's what I think. I think that's what's coming. I think that's what this T-square is about. It's going to ramp up. We could already see what's happening in Shanghai. By the way, Shanghai, almost 24 million people. 24 million fucking people. There are only 2 states in the United States that have more people than Shanghai, the city. And that's Texas and California. It's a lot of people, man. And they're shutting down the port. You've seen the videos. That's like, it's like a redux of Wuhan. It's like Wuhan times 5. Well, actually, how many is Wuhan? I think it's Wuhan times 2. I think Wuhan is like 13 million people. So it's like Wuhan times 2. It's not really Wuhan times 5. Trying to keep the math straight here. But we can see, right? Like, what is it? It's what's the new one? B dot A dot II. You know what that spells? It spells ball, as in ball, right? Yeah, that's what it spells, ball. So we got the ball virus coming, and it doesn't look pretty. We know what happened last time. We had Philadelphia roll out their mandate again. I could see this happening. I could see it happening Monday or Tuesday. Bang, right? This is a bang moment here. It's not easy. This is not an easy moment coming up. Hard emotions. We got the moon coming in right now, opposing Uranus. All right, it's already in opposition to Mercury, but still tomorrow, same deal. The big square tomorrow is Saturn. We have the Pluto Sun square exact tomorrow. That's very dramatic, very intense. Those are martial energies, intense martial energies. Those are challenging energies. Like, man, 28 degrees. That's the degree where everything just gets crazy, right? It's big, electric, static, hard to handle, hard to control. So tomorrow we've got some. we have to deal with fixity, emotions, and authority right out of the gate on Monday, like right out of the fucking gate. And then we have this extreme, to me, Sun Pluto square is power grab. Like, this is a big power grab. Tomorrow's pretty significant. What is the 18th? Tomorrow's fucking significant. I'm just telling you that right now. It is a significant day. And to get through tomorrow and to get through the rest of the week, you're going to need to tap into some of this Pisces energy. If you haven't found God yet, you may want to start looking in your own way. In your own way. We do have a waning sextile with Sun Saturn. Saturn is pulling away. Now, Saturn will go retrograde, but starting to pull away a bit from, not a bit, it's been pulling away from the South Node, Uranus for a while. Mercury will catch up to Saturn. So by the end of the week, by tomorrow, by next Sunday, Mercury will be at 20 Taurus and squaring Saturn. And that's challenging. It's challenging dialogue. It's also very clear decision-making. It's like, nope, not going to do it. Sorry, not happening. Not going to do it. The other thing too is, the moon, no matter what sign it's in, is dealing with things like comfort, nurturing, and security. It doesn't matter what sign it's in, right? In Scorpio, it gets more intense. So if you're reading about things like fertilizer and trains of fertilizer not being carried, not being allowed to carry as much fertilizer, oh, yep, that's happening, right? That's your Saturn is dominant right now. It's just, it's like, where the fuck are these people making these decisions, and how the fuck are they making them? This company, 20% less ammonia nitrate fertilizer. Who makes this shit? Well, I'll tell you who does it. It's the railroads, right? The railroads are telling the railroads are telling the fertilizer manufacturers, you can't have that much on our trains. Well, why are they? I'm sure they have a very good reason. But did you see the train companies, right? Did you see them? Did you see how much money they took when they had the COVID payouts, the stimulus package? The railroads made bank. Okay. They made bank, and they already get subsidized by the federal government, but they made bank during the stimulus package. So guess what happens when you take those loans? You get on a call, you call the head of Southern Pacific, and you say, you got to have 20% less ammonium nitrate. Okay, we'll do that. They send that out to all their ammonium nitrate manufacturers who want to put their cars on their rails. 20% less. What is that? How does that impact us? It impacts us plenty, a lot. The other thing we got going on is we have bird flu, and I feel like we're going to get more into the bird flu territory. Even probably worse next week when Mercury goes into square with Saturn. Because when you get into Taurus, right, it's like farm life, animals, farm animals, produce. It's very Taurus, right? So when you get into that Mercury square with Saturn, you're dealing with things like lungs and air and, flus, including bird flu. So I think the bird flu thing is still going to happen. We're going to be dealing with it into next week. And we may see it be more rampant, right? What do they want to do? I'll tell you what they want to do. They want to vaccinate chickens. That's what they want to fucking do. They want to vaccinate chickens so the chickens don't get bird flu or they don't get COVID or whatever thing that the chickens could come down with. No, they want to make sure those chickens get the jab. Oh, of course they'll produce jabby eggs at some point. Doesn't that sound fun? Right? And just think now. All right, let's play this out a little bit. Let's just play this out. Nobody's doing any oversight with the chicken prick. No oversight whatsoever. Like they may have a little oversight. Oh yeah. They get on the phone with the FDA. Yeah, we're gonna prick the chicks. Okay. Good. Did you test it? Yep, we tested it. How'd it work out? Fine. Just great. Okay. Let us know how it goes and if we can be of any help. Thanks. Click. That's it. That's how it gets approved. So let's just say that they have these very sophisticated technological devices that they are inserting into the chickens. And now the chickens can become a factory of sorts. The chickens can become a factory of sorts, just like the body becomes a factory where it can fend off all of these diseases. Because now the body is so sophisticated and intelligent that it's fending off all of these diseases. You don't need any vaccines. Your body now has become a vaccine factory. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Well, guess what? Now the chickens can become vaccine factories. And if you didn't get one or a booster, don't worry about it. Just scramble some eggs. You'll be fine. Trust us. Yeah, Mercury Saturn square, that's also rules too. It's like, nah, sorry. Nope, can't do that. Mercury, the sign of travel, also scoring Saturn. This week is kind of intense. Tomorrow's significant. So this is it right here, right there. That is your saving grace. Venus, Neptune, Jupiter, and then trining right into the moon, right? And then transubstantiating any emotional contacts that you have and cranking it up, right? Higher octave, higher octave, higher octave. That's what we got. That's what we have. Mars right now, kind of hanging out, right? It's almost Singleton-like. We got a sextile to the sun. And that sextile will become more prominent when it moves into Taurus. That's not a bad sextile, actually. That's taking creative action. Mars, Mars in Pisces, especially now with Now it's separating from Saturn, right? By tomorrow, and the day tomorrow will be at like 10 degree orb out. So we could take that conjunction out of there. So we have a quintile, and a sextile. That's not bad. That's not a bad application for Mars, actually, especially those quintiles. So we got a quintile to Mercury, and we have a quintile to Uranus. It's kind of inventive. That's inventive energy. Very, very inventive. You should, this whole watch the water thing, I want to talk a little bit about that. But you should theoretically be, the one thing about that watch the water stuff that I do feel very strongly about is that you probably should get a really good water filter. It doesn't matter, it does matter what water filter you get, but we have a bunch of shit in our water already. So I would suggest you, if the watch the water psyop didn't wake you up to get a water filter, let this be a reminder. Go out and get yourself a good water filter this week. This is Mars being active here, right? And then we have the quintile to Mercury. That's very inspired. It's like kind of inspired and acting in a way with Mars that isn't just robotic. Mars and Pisces can be very creative. So there's certainly, some creative potential at the beginning of the week too. Like the one thing about Mars that I like here is that you have the ability, and even to some extent Mercury, except for that square to Saturn, is you have the ability to not act in a robotic way. You have the ability to not act out in a robotic way. So find some creative potential, especially early in the week. Monday, Tuesday, Mars will stay into that quintile range. Be an interesting time. It's right there. Bang, right there. Okay. I think tomorrow's pretty significant though. These are hard aspects, especially with that moon coming in and squaring Saturn. It's like, fuck, we're done with this. We're done. No, you're not done with it. And then that Sun Pluto square. To me, that's kind of dictatorial too, especially at those final degrees of Aries. All right. There's your chart of the moment. Let's look at Elon Musk. It's been, I looked at his chart a while ago. Let's bring him back up here because he's in this little turf war. He can't win the Twitter war, by the way. There's no way he can win it. And the reason why he cannot win it is because they did a poison pill on him. So the board, which he's not a member of, by the way, they voted to, if Elon Musk makes a hostile takeover of Twitter, that the board can buy shares at a reduced rate so they can keep up with him. So if Elon Musk is buying the stock price, the board can buy it for less, but they're buying it supposedly at a loss, right? So if you're a shareholder, let's say you have 1,000 shares of Twitter. If you're a shareholder, 1,000 shares is pretty significant. It's not way up there, but it's pretty significant. But you're not in BlackRock territory. You're not in Vanguard territory, right? And then these people are essentially buying stock at a cheaper price so that they can keep up with Elon Musk. How do you feel about that? Wouldn't you like to buy the stock at a cheaper price? Hey, I'd like some of that. Let me get some of that cheap stock so that when it goes back up again, I'll have it at a really cheap price. Well, unfortunately, you don't get it. Trust us. It's for the greater good. Anyway, I don't think there's any way that he can go in and take over Twitter. It's like, smooth move, dude. And by the way, they're all in each other's boards. We're going to talk about Elon Musk as it relates, by the way, to the last big eclipse cycle that we saw in 2003. He's in there. So he's a, excuse me, 29 Gemini rising. He does have that kind of, because you never know. I mean, I think I know, but oh, look, Elon Musk he's a conservative. He's into freedom. He's into truth. Is he really? The 29th degree Gemini, you don't know what's going on with this guy. Sorry, you don't. He's got relationships with other people that you don't know about, right? Like those guys in Vanguard and in BlackRock, they're on the board of Tesla. They're on each other's boards. So he's operating from a place of relationship, and especially in Gemini, because you like, okay, what team are you on? Oh, he's on team Elon, whatever that is. Great. And then he's got that square going on with Venus. Where is Venus? Right there. Pluto. Venus Pluto square, this deal will do anything. Trust me. Especially when he's got his Venus in it's a wide square. We're talking 8 degrees. Yeah. Still square though. He'll do it. Especially Venus and Gemini and that Venus in the 12th house, which you and I just don't see. We don't see it. We don't see what's going on behind the scenes with Elon Musk, and a lot of power. There's a lot of power right there, and he'll do what he has to do. Trust me, especially with that 29 degree Gemini rising. Now, what we see is the sun and Mercury in Aquarius, the kind of chubby round face. Cancer. I'm sorry, not Aquarius. Cancer. The chubby round Cancer face. That's what we see. You know what Elon Musk reminds me of? They did this experiment with women, and they took pictures of men, and there were these really wolfish looking men, the 5 o'clock shadow, pointed chin, right? Like the hardcore Ralph Lauren model, whatever. And when women were close to ovulating, right, they would show them this picture or these pictures. They'd have a whole group of women, and they'd look at these men and oh my God, start drooling, right? Oh yeah, I love this guy. Oh, he's great. Wow, what a good looking dude. Then they would show them a guy like Elon Musk, big cheeks. Looks like he just ate a chocolate tart or something, right? Oh no. Oh, I'm not into him. No way. But then after they get off their cycle, once they went past that and they were reasonable again, they would show them Mr. Wolf face and they go, ugh. Does he wear an Izod shirt? Shit like that, right? And they'd show them the Elon Musk photo. Oh, he looks like a really nice guy. He looks so sweet, right? Well, why is that? Because they want to have sex with Wolfie guy, but then they want their kids raised by Elon Musk guy. That's what the test showed, right? They're like looking at, oh, well, this person is going to be the best carrier of my biology. They don't even really think of it. Some women do, by the way, but it's just like, right? Then they marry Mr. Wolf guy, and they're like, get the fuck out of here. Where's Chocolate Tart Boy? So that's what people see, right? He's got the sun, Mercury, Cancer. He's got the Cancer chubby cheeks, round moon face. And they also see kind of the rebel, the sun, Uranus square. Oh, he's a rebel. He's a genius. He does have Uranus in the 3rd house, by the way. I have to say that is an aspect of somebody who could invent some shit. So I do think he's kind of a front. I don't think he is a complete cardboard cutout. I think Elon Musk probably has some real technological understanding. Like, I don't think you could be Elon Musk unless you knew some shit. Now, that doesn't mean he does not get help. He does get help. right? So Uranus in the third house, even Pluto in the third house, it can be intense, revolutionary, transformational ideas. And he's going to mainstream them, right? With Saturn, he's going to mainstream those ideas. Of course, the mainstream mostly will love him, mostly, not always. But he alternates between the guy that's getting high on Joe Rogan. Hello, Neptune in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Scorpio. He's the guy that's getting high on Joe Rogan. Oh, you got to answer to your shareholders in the board. So he's got that too, right? There's a part of him that's super loosey-goosey. He's got some addictions. I can tell you that right now. He's got addictions. He's got that. He's a gambler. He's got a Mars Jupiter square. That's a gambler. And he's got a Mars square with Neptune. It's a wide square. It's more of a square with Jupiter. And that can be shady, right? And especially with technology. And Elon Musk is kind of fucking shady. He says, "Oh, hey, yeah, we're going to take Bitcoin for the Tesla. Oh, yeah, it's going to be great. Buy that Bitcoin, fellas." And then 2 months later, I changed my mind. We're not going to do that. Meanwhile, the price of Bitcoin goes through the fucking roof, and then he sells his shit, right? So Elon Musk should be like, he should not be allowed to do what he does. He is the chocolate tart boy of the pump and dump. That's what he is. This is all pump and dump right here. And guess what? Because Saturn's on the other side of that, there are people making bank off of Elon Musk. Trust me. So it's not just Elon Musk, but it's, Paul Singer, Larry Fink. They're making money off of him. If you don't think they are, you're wrong. He's very innovative, potentially. Jupiter in, True Node in Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius, 8th house, dealing with other people's money. He's got Saturn. He went through a divorce. Was he married to Grimes? I don't think he was even married to her. He had a kid with her, right? It's like some kind of like rocket fuel formula name. I think that's the kid's name. That's just weird. And then Grimes starts to go out with the dude that what's his name? The whistleblower. He was a dude, and now was he like Wendy or something? He was so insignificant. He came about right around the same time as Snowden did. What do we have here with Grimes? I got to figure out his name now. Grimes. Grimes poses nude for Dion Lee campaign. Medieval sci-fi energy. Ooh. Medieval sci-fi energy. Chelsea Manning. So Grimes started to date Chelsea Manning. That's bizarre. Isn't Chelsea Manning in jail? 35 years in prison? Let's just see here. Early life, parents divorce. He's got a big time military background. He's another little spook. Release of WikiLeaks. Reykjavik, Baghdad strike. Let's see. So he was accused of dumping the Guantanamo Bay files. I don't believe that. Let's see. Where is he? Arrest, detention, evidence, guilty plea, trial, sentence. So January 2017, Justice Department source said that Manning was on President Obama's short list for possible commutation. He was released May 17th, 2017, from the Fort Leavenworth Detention Center approximately 2 a.m. Although sentenced during her court-martial to be dishonorably discharged, Manning was reportedly returned to active unpaid excess leave. Getting that GI check. So 2019, jailing for contempt. There's an appeal. So I do not know where Chelsea Manning is right now, just in terms of post-prison life. Okay, Chelsea Manning's out. Here you go. Got a fellowship from Harvard, which was rescinded. Anyway, let's get back to Elon Musk. So the Grimes thing happened with Saturn going through his 8th house, but does that even really affect him? I mean, he does have some emotions with Sun Mercury, but but it's more about identification, right? It's more about it, and I don't know if emotions really impact this guy. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. I don't really see it. Right. Even though Cancer is a very emotional and sensitive sign, I don't really see it. Right. He's operating with that Mars Venus trine, and Mars in Aquarius is odd. It's a really odd position for Mars. It can be like super techie, but remember, Mars is a planet that's also associated with sex. So people have Mars in Aquarius, they have like a different kind of sex. They just do. And there's a whole gamut there with Mars in Aquarius. I think Mars in Aquarius is kind of kinky. You know, he's got Mars in Aquarius in the 8th house. Like, I don't think Elon Musk has this dude is not, I mean, even his kids, like he named one kid because the 8th house is about procreation, right? He named one kid a fuel name. And then he had all these other kids from some kind of weird in vitro thing. Didn't that happen? He's got, some of them are twins. One of them died. Like, it's like weird. He's got like 5 or 6 kids. That's all Mars in the 8th house. That's how those kids were born. Right. So like, I don't think Elon Musk went like a few layers deep. I don't think he did. That's all laboratory shit. I think the patent stuff, I think he does have an invent in mind, but when you get into the square with Neptune and square with Jupiter, those pump him up a bit more than like what he really theoretically has to offer in some ways. I do think he's got a weird sex life. The Venus and Gemini in the 12th house yeah. I think he probably does VR sex. Anyway, he's got Moon and Virgo. That's weird, right? He's got Moon and Virgo, and he's got all this weird shit going on here. He's a trip. He's got a Moon, Saturn. Isn't his mom a weirdo too? Like, does he have like a weird relationship with his mom? You get into that Moon Neptune square. Does he have like weird boundaries with his mother? That's the Moon Neptune square. Pretty prominent placement with the Moon. That's a weird moon. Sorry. Square Neptune, square Saturn. He must have had times when he was young where he was really kind of fucked up, I think. Like, that's a hard moon to have because you're trying to please somebody with that Moon Saturn square. Like, you have to, be the best or be the brightest, or, do you know what I mean? Right? Because that Virgo moon is just unrelenting. But then you have the Moon Neptune square, which is, as much as Moon Saturn square defines emotional engagement, Moon Neptune square just drains it. I think he had a hard childhood. I think this dude had a hard childhood. Who knows? I think he had money, right? He comes from a diamond mine family, but I don't necessarily think his childhood was easy. That Moon in Virgo is very critical, and it's ingressed into the 3rd house, which makes it almost like a Gemini moon. And schizophrenia, dare I say that there's some programming in Elon Musk's background. I'll say it. I think he's got programming in his background. It's right there. Split the emotional body, Saturn, Neptune, right? Criticism and reward. Neptune would be the reward, especially with Jupiter there. Yeah, he's got an intense chart. Not an easy chart, by the way. I'm not sure I'd want his chart. That Mars in Aquarius in the 8th house. That is space age. And he's got Chiron in Aries. So he's going through his Chiron return. Oh, wow. He started to go through that last year. So that's when he and Grimes split up, right? It was last year. This is an interesting Chiron return. I mean, we're just looking at this astrologically. It's like Stalin's chart. So what is he doing? He's taking on, theoretically, he's taking on the man. Chiron Mercury square. He's making a power move. Again, theoretically. There's something there, right? He's trying. I don't think this is just a pump and dump for Twitter, but I'm not sure he's using the best judgment, unless, of course, he does a lot of these other deals where, since they're on the board of Tesla, or there's all this fucking shit coin that they can swap out, whatever. He might do something like that. And all of a sudden they might be singing a different tune. Yeah, we'll let him buy Twitter because he's compensating them in some other way, which, by the way, is not supposed to be legal, but we know that these robber fucking barons don't do anything legal. So this is a complicated chart. He definitely is. He's into the tech thing, right? He's definitely into the tech thing, and it's a weird relationship with it. And he's got partners. Elon Musk is partners with people you don't even know about. I don't know who they are. You don't know who they are, but he's got serious partners that either invest for him, front for him, whatever it is, right? This is all deeply, deeply hidden stuff. But he's awkward. You can even tell, like the Sun Mercury in the first house, it's all fucking awkward. You know, Sun Uranus square, a little rebellious. Mercury Uranus square. He's awkward. You can just see it in the chart, right? Where he's not awkward is taking ideas and mainstreaming them. And they may even be somebody else. By the way, he did not start Tesla. I'm going to show you in a second. This Jupiter transit, which is right here for Musk. It's not this year, but next year, Jupiter will conjunct his midheaven. That's going to be a huge transit for him. Now, Jupiter does move into Aries. I believe it's in May, if I'm not mistaken. So it will go into trine with his natal Neptune, and it'll be right about there, right around 2, 3 Aries. I think it's about 4 Aries, 5 Aries, and then it retrogrades back. That's a big transit for Musk. That is a really big transit because it opens things wide open, right? You got the Jupiter trine, that's there, right? Neptune, he's got this the Jupiter Neptune conjunction is trining his own natal Jupiter, especially in Scorpio. You can see where he's making a play here, right? He's feeling frisky. He's got house money. Wait till Jupiter goes into Aries. He will pull out all the stuff, whatever he needs to do. And I don't really trust Elon Musk. I think he's the new Bill Gates. You know, kind of a geekier, more millennial-friendly Bill Gates. But once Jupiter moves into Aries, the end of this month, right, or the end of May, he's going all in, right? Because Aries is active. Aries is like forceful. It's the activation of will. He'll go all in. It's going to be an interesting time. Keep your eye on Elon Musk. End of May. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go back to this last eclipse cycle. I think I'm going to 11 tonight because I got a little late start. Let's get into this eclipse stuff. Let's go back in time. Now, we know that we are dealing with the eclipse cycle in Taurus and Scorpio because that's where the nodes are. So we're going to have these eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio. The last time we had this eclipse cycle, it started in 2003. And we're going to look at these eclipses. There's one that's fucking mind-blowing. I'll show you here. Okay. So the eclipse cycle for 2003. show you the dates here. So in 2003, on May 7th, we had that transit of Mercury. Remember that? We got to see Mercury go across the sun. That was pretty trippy. That was trippy. Transit of Mercury. Interesting shit right there. Okay, so on May 15th, 16th, in 2003, we had a total lunar eclipse. So the moon obviously is in Scorpio. And it was primarily, here, I'll show you. So this was the eclipse path, mostly South America, right? This is where it was. And it's not. Let's go back here. So this is a total lunar eclipse. And then the solar eclipse happens on May 31st, which technically is during Gemini, but it's still where the nodes are. And then we have the November 8th and 9th eclipse, which is in Scorpio Taurus. And then we move into this Thanksgiving eclipse right around that time. So the two eclipses that I really want to pay attention to from 2003 are May 15th, 16th, and November 8th, 9th. Okay, the other ones are kind of interesting too. Don't get me wrong. But let's go back into 2003. Now, there's some weird things that happened in 2003, eclipse-wise, or just event-wise. So we had the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrate during Rancho over Texas. That happens right out of the chute. Pretty intense, right? 2003. So this is, I guess this is the run-up for the Iraq War, and people are out on the streets, and Bush is like, fuck you. That's happening. All right. What we want to pay attention to is May. This is all interesting stuff. But let's keep going. The Human Genome Project. Oh, isn't that interesting? 99% complete. Okay, this is where it gets really trippy. So right here, we're in the eclipse. We're in the eclipse cycle, right? The eclipse is May 15th. So on the 23rd, by the way, there's a big earthquake in Algeria, even though the eclipse doesn't take place there. On the 23rd, Dewey, the first deer, is cloned by scientists at Texas A&M. So there's Dewey. This is the first deer supposedly cloned at Texas A&M. Well, so what's interesting about that? Okay, this gets into what? Scorpio and Taurus, right? When you deal with Scorpio, you're dealing with genetic material. That's what Scorpio is. When two people procreate, there's an exchange of genetic material. And that genetic material has manifestation in Taurus, where a physical being is born. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing the manipulation of genetic material. This is where the South Node in Scorpio is, right? They're getting into a laboratory and they're fucking around, and they're gonna mess with. And we just saw, right? The Human Genome Project is 99% complete during this nodal cycle. So Scorpio, definitely gene pool related, chromosomal. Why do you think we're having such a big brouhaha about a gender and identity? That's the South Node in Scorpio. Well, I'm not a biologist. So Dewey comes onto the scene right after the eclipse. The joint project with Viagen. How about that? All right. So a couple days later, what happens? Dewey comes into the world on May 23rd. Prometea, the world's first cloned horse, comes into the world May 28th. Now remember, this is part of the eclipse cycle, part of the eclipse window. That's just 13 days after. So here's Prometea. By the way, Prometea supposedly has given birth to other horses. Cloned horse foal beats the odds. The Genome News Network. Now, if you think that they haven't been doing this stuff for a while, oh, they have. This is what we get to see, but we get to see this, right? Oh, Texas A&M. Right, here we go. Protea. To create Protea, the researchers cultured skin cells from a halflinger mare, infused them with oocytes that had no nucleus. Out of more than 300 embryos created, only 14 were viable after being in culture for 7 days. 2 of these embryos were implanted into the same mare from which the cell line was derived. The remaining embryos were implanted into other surrogate mares. The only embryo that survived to term was Protea. After the success of the thoroughbred gelding funny side in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness this spring, horse racing fans greeted the prospect of equine clones with enthusiasm. Clones who challenge authority. Look at this. This is such a bizarre thing, right? So this is happening, right? This is happening during 2003 with this eclipse cycle. Where is that? Right there. Like, how fucking wild is that? Pretty wild. And what are we talking about now? We're talking about the human version of this, although it's a little bit different. Has to do with gender, has to do with identity, has to do with biology. Again, Taurus, Scorpio, true node, south node, dealing with the genetic chromosomal material, hacking it, and then theoretically having it arrive into physical manifestation. There's something else that's really interesting here. It's a little bit further on in the year. But remember, look at this. July 1st. Oh, this is what I wanted to get to. Tesla Inc., the American electric car company, is founded by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning in San Carlos, California. Well, July 1st puts it right on fucking Elon Musk's son. So let's see who are these guys? Let's see. Early career, wise technology, Tesla. Eberhard's interest in sports cars. Dependence on oil imports. Okay, blah, blah, blah. What is he, a baby boomer? Doesn't say. Tesla Motors. Eberhard's, okay, so he found about and attempted to purchase a prototype EV sports car called the AC Propulsion Zero with a T. He provided some financial and technical support in the conversion of the Zero to the lithium ion batteries. Eberhard then tried to convince AC Propulsion founder Alan Cocconi to turn the Zero into a production car. When Cocconi declined, Eberhard co-founded with Mark Tarpenning and became the first CEO of Tesla, an electric car company in Menlo Park, California in 2003. So these are the guys that start Tesla, right? On November 30th, 2007. So we're talking 4 years after this. Tesla released a press release titled Martin Eberhard, co-founder of Tesla, to transition to advisory board. Fortune magazine reported in December 2007 that Elon Musk had asked Martin to leave. Musk stated in an interview that it was not due to ideological differences, but he did not see a role for Eberhard. On January 7, 2008, New York Times reported that Tesla Motors issued a statement explaining that the co-founder and chief executive, Martin Eberhard, has transitioned from the board of directors and executive management to the company to the board of advisors, to the advisory board. Eberhard noted that while he had signed a non-disclosure agreement with Tesla, so I must by contract be a bit careful about how I word things, he was not happy with the transition. So I don't know when Elon comes in and buys Tesla or gets a majority share. But during this eclipse cycle, the same one that we're in now, where Elon Musk is trying to buy Twitter, these are interesting elements, right? Let's see when Elon Musk gets on. And by the way, it is conjunct his son, the day the company was founded. And Tesla is a Tau, T-A-U, Tau cross, right? This is a sigil. Okay, where does Elon Musk come in? Let's see. Get the Roadster in 2005. Ian Wright was Tesla's third employee, joined a few months later. In February 2004, the company raised $7.5 million in Series A funding, including $6.5 from Elon Musk, who'd received $100 million from the sale of his interest in PayPal. That's funny money. The PayPal shit is funny money. So Elon Musk gets on board with Tesla in 2004. So the nodes are still there, right? The nodes are still there in 2004. It's still True Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio. So what do we see Musk doing? He's doing the same fucking thing with Twitter, right? The nodes are a little further down the line. They're a little deeper into. So it may take. Again, I don't really have any like skin in the game with this whole thing with Musk and Twitter. I'm just looking at it from an astrological perspective, and that you can see him getting involved in Tesla at right around the same time and close to the same positions of the nodes. A little bit deeper, right? I think the nodes are at 22 right now. I think right around this time, when Tesla was founded, the nodes were right around, I think, 27, 28 Taurus. So fairly similar territory, right? Fairly similar territory. So we can see back then in 2003, when we can kind of get a glimpse of what was happening with those nodes, especially with genetics and the clones of the deer and the horse, again, theoretically, but they're there on the public record. The creation of Tesla and Musk's ultimate buy-in, and we can see Musk doing the same thing now, right? And what is happening with animals now? We got people are the new animals, people, but we can see what's going on in China with not good. Not good at all. But we're dealing with animals again, particularly with China. Anyway, there was something else here in 2003. So the next cycle for the eclipse in 2003 is that November eclipse cycle, which is the 8th and the 9th. So let's get into that. Oh, by the way, so if we go back here, let's see, where is it? Right here. Right here. Okay. So if we follow that out, so May 15th to first part of June, there's a lot of things happening in the former Soviet Union. But so July, just coming out of that eclipse cycle, Tesla's formed. Okay. So now there's some other shit that's happening during this year. Pretty significant and significant to our time. There was a huge approach to Mars on August 27th. It was the closest approach to Mars in 60,000 years. And what are we doing? We're going off to war with Iraq. Oh, this is interesting. I love this shit. Check this out. Remember, the true node is in Taurus. On September 4th, Europe's busiest shopping center, the Bull Ring in Birmingham, is officially opened. There it is, right? True node in Taurus. It's the bull ring. Interesting. 4chan comes on board. It's minor. Israel getting their little war game on there. Getting inside of Syrian territory. There's a reason why I'm going down this path here. So here we are, right? Right there, Saddam Hussein captured him. Mars is close to the Earth. We got War City. There's something here this year. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Hold on. There is something with SARS-CoV-2. It's happening in 2003. The Convention of the Future of Europe finishes its work and proposes the first European Constitution, July 18th. Right there, July 5th. Severe acute respiratory syndrome is declared to be contained by the World Health Organization. Oh, how'd that work out? That didn't work out too well, did it? Now, I'm not sure what was going on here, right? So a little bird flu action, but again, happening during the nodes. True node in Taurus, south node in Scorpio. But to me, the big piece here is the piece with Musk. You can see this thing get ramped up again during this nodal cycle. He did it with Tesla. He's doing it now with Twitter. Interesting. And the whole genetic stuff is crazy, absolutely crazy. Okay. So right there, we got April, right? Got a lot of war shit going on. I think the Mars transit happens, or the Mars passes closer, but still, it's right there, August 27th. But they're still kicking around Iraq, aren't they? Absolutely. All right. So let's get into these upcoming eclipses. I just wanted to just bring that up from 2003. It's kind of interesting. So let's check out the first one coming. That's the lunar eclipse. Right here. I got to hurry now because the show's getting close to ending. So this is the first eclipse, and it's coming on the 30th of April. There's our sun. There's our moon in Taurus, right there. Bang, bang, bang. We've got Uranus there conjuncting the sun. This is a crazy fucking eclipse. It's a crazy eclipse. You know what I like about this eclipse, though? I like the sextiles to Pisces. I do like the sextiles to Pisces. The square to the Uranian square to, what is that, Saturn? Yeah, but Saturn is moving backwards. It hasn't gone retrograde yet. Yeah, what do we have? Yeah, no, it's the square. Yeah, it's the square to Saturn. I don't know. I really like the sextiles to Pisces, even though we're going through this eclipse energy. And it's, look, everything's on the table now. We've got money on the table. We've got food on the table. Well, we may not have food on the table. But on the table, it's like part of the discussion. So we have the economy. We have food. We have housing, which is kind of in the mix here, right? That's all happening during this eclipse. Anything that's related to security, because of Taurus, and Taurus is a fundamentally secure sign. And the energies around it are being eclipsed. So sometimes when eclipse, there can be things that are revealed. And you can see certain things during an eclipse cycle that you can't see at other times. Like that can happen. That's totally plausible. And then, of course, once the sun moves away, again, theoretically, all right, well, we're back in. By the way, the sun is not fucking right. I can tell you that right now. I was outside this weekend. I was working in the yard. There was a stretch where I almost passed out. That's how intense it was. And I was not doing anything super intense. I was just watering, doing this, doing that. At one point, I was like shaking and buzzing. The sun is not right. And we're dealing with these solar flares. A lot of people are completely just washed out. I was going to try to talk about the Carrington effect. I'm not going to probably have enough time tonight. And Howdy McCoskey brought it up. Did a great podcast on it. And then John Levi talked about it. I dialed it up astrologically, and I may wait till next week to talk about it. Give us something to talk about next week. But there's a there. And it's interesting. We'll look at it next week. Anyway, this eclipse, I actually think this eclipse in Taurus is positive. Believe it or not, I think it's a positive eclipse. Because I feel like it gets us in touch with people they fucking lost their mind with values. They've lost their fucking mind with values. They don't understand values at all. They don't understand them at all. Anyway, their values now, most people's values are either inflated or institutional. They're not even their own values. They're institutional values. They've done a great job of programming people. This is not that. There's something else going on here. I like these sextiles. I like this eclipse because I think there's something, maybe it's like Apocalypto. You know that moment in Apocalypto where the dude is about to get his head chopped off and his heart ripped out, and there's an eclipse, and it's part of this prophecy that he hears about. Apocalypto, one of the best movies of all time. You know, maybe this is like an Apocalypto moment. You know? That's a fucking powerful scene, man. Stops everything. It stops the circus, right? It stops the gore. It stops the mayhem. And because of that, this dude is able to get a new lease on life. It's what I think Apocalypto is one of the greatest movies of all time. You know why? Because it's about love. It's about fucking love. Deep love. The love that carries you through hell and back. That's what Apocalypto is. It's a great movie. I feel like there's some energy around this during this first eclipse. I'm not going Debbie Downer and Donnie Doom. I'm not doing that here. I like that. I'm on the record. I like this eclipse coming up. The solar eclipse, I think, is interesting. I think it has Apocalypto-like energies. And we can be, because you know what? People, I believe in people, by the way. I still do. I believe that people can understand what's important and what's real. That there can be an assimilation of intrinsic physical, material, and spiritual values, because that's what we're seeing here. This is the bridge between the two, right? It is the bridge between the two. And we've got a Mercury square going on. Mercury's in Gemini. That's kind of interesting too, in and of itself, right? There are two paths. There are two ways. You can either go down this path and this way, and good luck, or you go down this path and this way, and guess what? You got some pretty cool people along for the ride. You may not be riding in first class, but don't worry about it. The company's much better back here, right? This is what we're looking at right here. This eclipse is interesting. The lunar eclipse, which I'm going to save till next week because I'm almost out of time. The lunar eclipse is way more intense. I'm on the record with that. The lunar eclipse is way more intense. I feel like the lunar eclipse is more drastic. This eclipse, I actually feel hopeful. I look at this eclipse and I go, yeah, I like this eclipse. You know, there's potential here. And even that Mercury-Pluto trine, it's like, let's be clever and let's figure out how to use our resources. People, put your clever hat on. Learn how to use your resources. Team up, right? Team up. Do your best to stay close to the Spirit of God inside of you. Remember, that shit is never off. The end of your life, you're going to have a deep look at your life. And every single thought, every single emotion, every single memory that you've ever had is going to be accounted for. It may be accounted even before then because we're kind of there right now. But remember that you're never off, right? You are never off. You and that dynamic, cosmic, celestial force and pulse inside of you, you're on all the time. And it is operating through you, looking through you, being through you, and you are it simultaneously. So don't fuck up. No, there's look, all you have to do is connect in with that part of yourself, right? That part of yourself that knows everything, but is not an egotistical, fucking arrogant, narcissistic, sociopathic jerk or jerkette. Because nobody likes that person, right? Who do people like? They like people that are real. They like people that are confident. They like people that are self-deprecating, funny, right? They like people who are courageous. Do your best to live that way. Set an example. Set an example for yourself. Raise the bar high. Look, I do this every week, and I have to kind of live by what I say, right? It's a good practice for me. And honestly, I could be doing better. We could all be doing better, but raise the bar high. Set some standards, right? How would God operate in this situation? How would God treat this person? Right? How would God work through me in this situation? How does my higher self relate to this in a way that is just me, period, end of story. Set the bar high. Don't let the lower standards and the lower values bring you down or bring us down, because that is what they will fucking do. They will bring us down. Don't let it happen. Right? You can do it. All right. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you more than you know. And I hope that I've been of some service here tonight in terms of looking at some of these things and wrapping your head around kind of where we are, where we're headed, where we've been, some corollaries, a little bit of humor, and hopefully a bit of a map, right? By the way, no fire here in this eclipse. Look at that. No fire. We're coming out of that fire season. We won't see fire again until Mars moves into the sign of Aries. And boy, will we see fire. It'll come back with a bang. Take care of yourself. Use your head in order to discern what's real. Your heart to say what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Thank you so much for being here. Big shout out to everybody. Happy Easter. Much love to one and all. Bye for now.